Good morning, and thanks for joining us here on Condo Solutions. Monday mornings, 9 to 10 o'clock, we talk about things in the world of condos and homeowners associations, some of the issues you may be concerned about, some of the things that you may want to know, and some of the things that maybe you may be new to condos or new to homeowners associations here in Florida and are not sure about the rules and regulations and the laws and what they can do and can't do. And so we're kind of here to help with that. My name is Mark Breckbill. I'm a CPA. I'm also a licensed community association manager, and I work with associations on a regular basis and have been working with them for the last 20 years or so, 25 maybe, in the areas of audits, tax, and also consulting and all kinds of other good things. And so it's been a real opportunity to see what goes on and to be dealing firsthand with some of the issues that the associations have to deal with. So it's a good situation, and along with me on the show and been here since the beginning is Peter Mullengarden. Peter is the attorney on the show, and he has I should take off on the show. Peter's just the attorney. I mean, everybody should know he's the man, and or he could have been a woman, but he happened to be a man. So, but anyway, Peter's the guy that's got all the answers. He's the guy that knows everything there is to know about everything. How's that for a setup, Peter? That's a setup for you.
I don't know. You already called me a woman, so I'm not sure which way the show's going.
That's a plus in your case. That's a plus,
That's a plus.
No. No.
What's in your coffee? Brett, what's in your coffee this morning?
It's decaf tea, believe it or not. I'm trying to cut down. Somebody said I'm a little too high strung. I don't know how that is. I don't seem to be too high strung, but I guess, when you're out there on the string, you hardly notice. So it's I'm raring to go. I'm looking forward to the Thanksgiving holiday. It's going to be fun. It's I have all my ghosted friends coming in, and we're going to have a big party, and we're going to rent one of the association's community, the clubhouse, and we're going to throw a big party. But no, it is kind of weird.
Way to stick to the protocol.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to double mask, so I'll be really being very, very careful.
Well, you don't have any friends anyway. So.
No, that's true. That's true. Nobody would come see me, and especially if they thought that they could get sick by seeing me. Most of them get sick just seeing me anyway, let alone having the coronavirus. But no, it's going to be weird this season. I'm a little bit concerned for everybody out there, because we're kind of teetering here a little bit on some really bad economic times, and it kind of brings me to one of the things I guess we might want to talk about, and that is evictions and some of the issues there, because I read something I think it was in the paper the other day, or maybe heard it on the news, but there are something like 40 to 50 million people that are currently behind on their rent and can't be evicted, who will be eligible for eviction at the end of this month when the previous law runs out. And that's going to be devastating. I mean, that's got to be a killer. The fact that people haven't been paying has got to be bad enough if you got a rental. The thing is, I haven't seen a whole lot of issues, Peter. I don't know if you have. I haven't seen a whole lot of. Doesn't seem like a lot of people have got rental problems. Maybe it's because most of them have already dealt with those issues by restricting rentals. But for those that allow rentals, especially seasonal rentals, you wonder if. What's going to happen here. There's some people here that come down for the season on a regular basis, January, February, March, and you wonder if maybe some of those units are still going to be taken because there'll be a tenant in there that they can't get out. So it's going to be kind of interesting with where we're at and what the situation is going into the season, because a lot of people do rent during the season. Not everybody's an owner here. Many of them rent year after year in the same association, but still a lot of rentals. So it should be interesting to see what's going on there. Um, and then, of course, a lot of the businesses, particularly the restaurants, if they go to a lockdown again, this is pretty much going to put them out of business. I think that'll pretty much drive the dagger into the heart, so to speak. But so I don't know. I'm kind of bummed by the whole process right now. I was hoping that we would be in a point where, we would hopefully get out of this thing, or start having some economic activity by the end of the year, and because the economy can't handle it. So I think the flip side of that's going to be horrible when you start looking at people being evicted and out on the street, and all that kind of thing. No jobs, no money. But that's where we're at, I guess. That's the alternative. I guess we've got to. Your choice is either lock down and then go broke, or you can lock down and your business can go broke. So I guess you got either one of those two choices. But anyway, as you can tell, I've been dealing with some of the flip side of this for a while here in the business side, and not my condo and HOA stuff. And it's been kind of depressing. So I was kind of looking forward to a good holiday season, but doesn't look like we're gonna have much as it stands. Um, I'm going to have my usual virtual turkey anyway, so it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be as bad. So
It's good for the turkey, though, I guess.
yeah, it's good for the turkey, I think. So
That's about it.
I gotta. I wonder if honey baked ham is open. So I gotta find out. That's got to be my turkey dinner to this year. So, but and seriously though, I do know that we're looking at we're kind of looking at a change season coming up. I think that um, I don't know what is an association's ability to restrict uh, leases coming up in the season. Let's say we stay in where we are, and the numbers are staying as high as they are right now, and we're still under this emergency order. Do you think an association could ban leases at that point? That they could restrict the ability to lease?
Well, I think some are going to try. Um, I think, as I mentioned last week, I'm still of the opinion that I don't think boards, at least in my opinion, have the authority to just unilaterally ban leasing.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps short-term, leasing, depending on, but I do think they can, again, in my opinion, restrict or ban guests and visitors and things like that. I'm still of the view they can't ban or prohibit the right to lease your unit. I think they can impose conditions on it, reasonable conditions. For example, the move in, move out, masks, sanitization, things like that. Perhaps enforce some sort of 14-day quarantine, depending where the tenants are coming from. Again, it's a little up in the air. I think banning leasing is a step too far for an association, even during these times.
Yeah, it's well, we've got a caller, and then we'll come back to that. But
Okay.
Terry, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good morning.
Hey.
Hi, good morning.
I live in a community where the homes are like villas, or where I'm from, they call them duplexes.
Mm-hmm.
And in this community, we have two people who are on a shared roof, and there is a leak in the center of the roof between the two units. And the one homeowner was prepared to address the leak and called a roofer, and the other homeowner refused to. Since the leak is in the center, he would have to, the roofer would have to address both sides, like 3 feet on both sides. And the other homeowner refused to allow the roofer to repair the leak. And so now there's a huge situation. The homeowner that lives in this house is out of the country. And so I'm calling because I'm the one that's supposed to handle the situation. However, like I said, the other homeowner will not allow any person on his side of the roof to repair it. Any suggestions there?
Let me ask
Oh,
you. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mark. Interesting too that the homeowner did eventually call their insurance company. They were just going to repair it without, and it's done a lot of damage in their house. And the homeowner they weren't going to call the insurance company, but then they finally did. And it turns out both homeowners have exactly the same insurance company.
That's interesting. They'd be fighting against each other. So
Yes.
My question, just a couple real quick questions. You said it's a villa. I assume it's part of an association, correct? It's part of a homeowners.
Yes.
So it's a homeowners association, not a condo, right?
Correct.
And who's responsible under your documents for the replacement of the roof, and who's responsible
The
for the
homeowner.
Okay, are they responsible for maintenance too, or just replacement?
Yes.
Okay, so for both of. And was this caused by any kind of insurable event? Was it caused by a damage as a result of a storm or something like that the insurance might come into play?
I don't think that the insurance company has determined that. I was there when the adjuster was there, but they haven't really determined the cause yet.
Okay.
And the dividing wall, the firewall between the two units is also damaged.
Okay. I would say, I would look at your documents. This is, we kind of didn't give the caveat that we usually do, but, a lot of these things can, especially when it relates to maintenance and repair items and replacement, can change fairly dramatically based on what your documents say. So usually there's a provision even if the association is responsible for the repair, many times they have the ability to force a replacement if it's causing damage to somebody's unit. Peter, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, this situation unfortunately does occur somewhat frequently in a homeowner association, and it's one of those areas where the statute and the documents often provide much less protection or help than in a condominium context, because the homeowner association law, chapter 720, does not have a provision that authorizes the association to perform maintenance to a unit when the owner fails to do so, unlike in a condominium association where the condominium does have statutory right to go in and perform maintenance in a unit when necessary to prevent damage to a units or the common elements. HOA law doesn't have that. So here it is pretty much controlled by the association's documents. And again, most HOA documents, not all, but most of them also do not have a provision. Some do. You have to look where if an owner fails to perform their maintenance and repair, and in this case to the roof or replacement, then the association has the right to go in and do it and assess them. You see that occasionally, but you don't see it all that often in the HOA document. So what are you left with? You're basically left with either the owner who is getting who's having the problem because the neighbor won't do anything, having to literally sue the other owner, or potentially the association taking legal action going against the owner for failure to performing their responsibility under the documents to repair and to replace the roof. This is something where you have common roofs, and the documents don't really address it. And this is unfortunately a somewhat common problem in a townhome villa style community where you have a shared roof system, or a roof system where one roof affects the other, and no real surefire remedy either in the statute or in the documents. Now, I'm just saying what the problem is, and you're asking me for a solution, right? Not what you already know what the problem is. I would say here, it's probably going to be, unfortunately, either the owner or the association taking legal action against the owner. Now they're going to have to also prove, through an engineer or something that, that this owner needs to replace the roof.
Well, here's the interesting part. The damage, the leak showed up first on the homeowner who was out of the country. And he was prepared to pay for the entire repair on both sides of the roof. That's the interesting part of this whole situation. Huh. It's the other homeowner that won't allow someone on his part of the roof to repair it.
Well, I understand that, but it may have to be that, someone's going to have to. I don't think the local governmental agency can maybe help code enforcement. Perhaps probably not. But I think unfortunately that owner who is currently not allowing anyone access is probably going to have to be first threatened with suit and then maybe sued to compel them, with some sort of injunctive relief action to compel this person either to do the work or to allow the other one to do the work. Because like I said, unfortunately, the statute just doesn't have, for the HOAs, doesn't give the association, just carte blanche to go in there and do it.
Right.
Documents might, but they might not. So again, I'm falling back on, one owner suing the other, or the association and the owner perhaps suing the owner who's being a problem.
Yeah, I would, if it was me, I would take action, before there's more damage done.
Well, obviously, you got to,
and if I was the person that was willing to do the repair, I don't see how. There has to be some easement that's created with a joint roof that allows somebody to come on and repair that roof. If it's truly a joint roof, then it's going to be a combined responsibility.
Well, usually you see that language with the party wall. Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes they call these things party roofs or common roofs. But again, at the end of the day, I think you're going to have to be filing something here.
Yeah, I already have been in close contact with the Condo Association, Homeowners Association, and there's nothing in our documents that provides a situation where the homeowner can go ahead and repair the roof. Nobody can understand why the other homeowner will not allow, that person to. He was, like I said, he was willing to pay for the entire repair.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, there you have it.
Why? Because we have a lot of people called Florida men here, right? Or Florida man.
Yeah.
But who knows why?
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate.
Well, the other thing is that other homeowner is making comments that, and if any damage happens to my side, I'm going to hold you, the homeowner, responsible for that. However, he's not allowed to repair the roof. So how can you prevent further damage?
Yeah, you can't have it both ways. No. I mean, I'm not laughing at the situation. It's just, when these documents were written, clearly they weren't contemplating, this kind of scenario. And like I said, unfortunately, the Homeowner Association Act doesn't give a lot of help for this type of situation. I don't know who knows why this owner is being is being stubborn. But that's neither here nor there. But I agree with Mark. I mean, I'm not sure how much damage is happening or how bad the roofs or the roof is. But before things get beyond control, action has to be taken. Now, unfortunately, legal action takes time unless it's an emergency, depending on the situation, potential emergency relief. But you have to, show the judge, the emergency situation.
The other thing, Terry, is that you could maybe take a look at maybe go back to your insurance policy because, the insurance policy, because, like you said, it's actually the same insurance company, and I think that the homeowner that's out of town that was willing to pay for it is probably has probably got a situation where they can claim damages, not because of a situation that the other party is allowing damages to occur and not mitigating those damages, which may mean that that individual on that side that's not taking action could actually be responsible for any costs. Might be uninsured, but I would push it through the insurance company because, frankly, the insurance company is going to have to pay the other side of that claim, and they may be able to take action and force an action on the deal, even if it's nothing more than going to the previous homeowner or to the other homeowner and say, we're going to cancel your insurance if you don't.
That's true. I mean, that's true. Since it's the same insurance company, they may be able to put pressure on their client, on their customer, on their insured, and figure out a way that way.
I mean, the situation in the out-of-town homeowner, we've already had somebody mitigate that, and to the point where all the drywall on two walls had to be removed and the floor torn up. There was that much water that was coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Who did that?
So,
who did that work, Terry?
We had somebody do that.
The association did?
No, a private source.
Okay.
So we hired that done.
Now, did they do anything to the other side of the roof or just his side of the roof?
No, and he won't allow anyone in there to examine his side of the roof either.
So his side, so your side of the roof, the person that's out of the country, that still potentially could experience more damage because the other side of the roof.
Yeah, they're still getting
fixed,
damage. They just
right?
take out the drywall, I guess.
Oh, right. There's no doubt there's damage to both sides. I mean, I've seen interior photographs of the roof, and the roofer that I hired, he's well known and, a licensed and insured roofer. And I've seen all the interior camera. There's no way mechanically there can't be damage to both sides.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty serious leak.
But can there be any more damage to the to your side, to the one individual side? Now that it's been dried out, is it fixed permanently, or is there still the potential for additional leaks?
Well, the roof. Well, Mark, the roof's not fixed, so clearly
right. But
no, the roof isn't fixed. The insurance company did come and tarp the roof.
Okay.
And so now there's a blue tarp on it, but you can't go forward with any repairs for the homeowner because they can't get the roof fixed. You're not going to go in and re-drywall because, first of all, you have to, in order to replace that firewall, which is totally rotted and wet, you have to have access to both sides, I think.
Yeah. The other thing that you might look at doing, especially if you know the roof contractor, is hire the roof contractor to do your side, which he really can't do, but he could start, and then at that point, have him do a notice to owner, and then don't pay him and have him file a lien. Seriously, that will force because that lien's going to be on the building itself. So you're going to force the other party to have to deal with it. So they got a lien on their property.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that to the roofer.
Well, it's not going to hurt the roofer. You're going to agree to pay the roofer. But what I'm saying is once that lien's thrown on there, the other party's going to have to deal with this. Because if they don't, they got a lien on their property that technically could be foreclosed. So
I can't even think of a reason to justify this situation. There's no common sense or
no. That's why we're talking about some really weird stuff. But that's why I say I would work through the insurance company. If that doesn't work, I would try working through the roofer, create a lien situation, potentially. Then
I'm not sure I'd go with the lien thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't encumber someone's property with a lien without their consent.
Well,
I don't think you can, Mark. Okay?
well, I don't think. But see, here's the thing.
I don't think you. No, you cannot encumber someone else's property with a lien.
Here's the reason I think you can probably do that in this situation. That roof is going to be considered both parties. So when there's work done on that roof, and that's the fallacy in the way that this situation is set up.
No,
in
but
the
these are
documents,
separate lots. Separate lots. I'm not going to slander someone's title.
they got a connected roof, though.
I don't care.
Well, so you can't fix the roof. So automatically, there's got to be some sort of joint title on that. If
Not
I mean
necessarily.
joint.
No.
I don't see how they could do it otherwise.
No. There's no. I don't know. I don't think there's necessarily a joint title. I mean, it might be just by.
No, there is not. There's no
unity.
There's
no unity of title. There's no unity. I would not have a lien recorded against someone's property. That's opening up more problems, and I wouldn't do that.
Well, before I lost my house, I would probably take some drastic action, but
I would rather, Mark. I would rather replace the roof, okay, and then pay for it and then go after the guy for the money, then put a lien against him.
But actually, I can't do that because they can file a trespass charge against me.
Well, they can file a slander of title charge against you for putting a lien against the property.
He has sent email saying that if he sees anyone on the roof, he'll contact the sheriff, and the sheriff will come for trespassing.
Yeah, see?
It's a really bad situation.
Again, I'm gonna go back to the beginning here, okay? Where someone needs to either file or threaten and then file action against this owner, for failure to maintain their property, something under those documents, and that I think that's the route that I would go. I would not do the lien against his lot. I think
you know me, Peter. It was between the lien and the C4, so I went with the easy one. I went with the less destructive.
You can blow up the guy's home, and then it's not a problem anymore. But yeah, again, I don't know if there's any governmental intervention here. I don't see it, but that takes a long time anyway.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately out of brilliant ideas. I think the insurance company idea that Mark raised is a good one because they have, this insurance company, may have to through subrogate, they have to, they I think have an interest here in getting this thing fixed. And
right, because without the other homeowner doing the repair, I felt as though that homeowner was hoping that there was more damage done so that he could then have a free remodel job. I think that that's what he was looking for in this situation.
Right.
And so, but then when it turned out that they were both insured by the same company, I thought that was really interesting how that was going to handle. And really, the homeowner that's out of town wasn't going to use insurance. He was just going to do the repair, fix the roof, and have a contractor come in and do the repairs without calling an insurance company. He's an old timer that just doesn't believe in making claims.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, well, thanks for the advice.
No problem.
All right, good luck.
We'll do better next time, Terry.
Have a good day.
You too. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Bye. All right. That was a good call. I appreciate that, Terry. Thanks a lot. That was an interesting.
That call was well, it's not good in the sense of they're in a difficult factual situation, but it was good in that it does highlight some of the differences between a homeowner association and a condominium association, and in some instances where although obviously there are two very different ways of owning property, condominium versus non-condominium, there are some issues that come up for an HOA that quite frankly are similar, because even though they're not seen as the same type of shared facility like a condo is, in this situation, whereas the Condominium Act does provide a remedy, to try to protect one unit from being damaged or both units. It gives the association some authority, some power to go in there and do something. In the HOA law, we don't have that. Oftentimes the HOA documents really don't address it either, and it does create a quandary. I'm not saying that we need to amend the act necessarily to give that authority, but again, it just does highlight one of the distinctions between the two, and in this case, one where you kind of wish there was more statutory authority, to really do something without having to resort to litigation.
Yeah. And I think it would be a good thing to talk to the association about amending their documents because, there needs to be some provision there, some understanding that in that situation, that there's authority to go through and replace.
The authority would be, go on. Again, it's not a perfect solution either. And none of these solutions are ever perfect. If they were perfect, then you and I wouldn't be on the show for 16 years.
That's right.
But,
That's right.
and wouldn't have judges and courtrooms and everything else. Because even if we had the authority to go on and do the repairs, he's still saying no. He's still saying, get off my property. And I always tell my clients, well, don't go on someone's property if they're going to stand on the threshold.
Right.
This guy's downtown, but if they're going to be standing on the threshold with a bat or a weapon and says, get off my land, you don't create a confrontation. And in their case, in that case, you still have to go to court.
Yeah.
To gain access to do the work. And you have to prove that the work is necessary. And then after you do the work, hopefully the same document will then give you, lien authority. And then you have to go, chase the owner for the money.
Right.
So it's not perfect under any scenario.
Well, we got another caller. Let's
Okay.
Get to John. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thanks for holding on there. Thank you very much.
Hi,
Good
John.
morning.
Good morning. For a homeowners association, or in specific, a property owners association, do the statutes change as far as what condominium notices are for annual meetings? Is it 30 days, 14 days?
Well, for HOAs.
Well, I'm in a POA, but is it the same as? Is it covered in what is it? 721 for HOAs?
Yeah, HOAs is
720.
720. What's it? 303. It's not the same. They have their own separate statute on it. HOAs, condos. It's not less than 14 days notice for the meeting. The HOAs doesn't have that minimum time.
So there's it would have to be in the docs for what the proper notice is?
Yeah, you look at your documents for the notice.
Okay. Well, let's assume for this question that it is a 30-day notice and our meeting is on December 15th. And unfortunately, it went out with ballots, but not with proxies. What is the remedy for that?
Say that one more time. What happened?
The annual meeting notice for December 15th went out on November 17th without proxies. It had ballots, no proxies. What would remedy that?
Well, there's no requirement that they actually wait. I'm sorry. The HOA law does say 14-day notice, so there is a 14-day notice requirement for the HOAs, but there's no requirement that they use proxies. They usually do so that there is so that they will have a quorum. Okay, they're going to have a problem getting a quorum perhaps because you have to have 30% unless your documents have a lower number. So you do need that 14-day notice. What's the remedy? Not that any remedy per se. I'm just saying that they may have difficulty getting a quorum for this meeting. If there's no quorum, there's no meeting.
Okay, so it's not a bad mailing. It's not a requirement to put in a proxy, especially with this Chinese virus issues we've had this year. So
there's not a requirement that you have a proxy. You almost always do. okay, just to try to make sure you are having a quorum there. So they may, be shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, but they're not violating any statute. Now, the documents could possibly say that a proxy is included, but usually they don't.
Well,
I
let's go
apologize
down
for saying that, and I apologize for saying there's no requirement that there is a 14-day notice requirement for the HOA for a membership meeting.
So let's go to the next question. Since the board hires a property management company and they don't put in the proxy, what's the remedy between the board and the company? Because they screwed up.
Well,
True.
if it's required, if it's required to have that in there, and not just an optional thing, as Peter mentioned, then you would, you'd have to redo the mailing, and there'd be some cost associated with that. So, but
when you say cost, I mean, if somebody screws something up, they're responsible for the cost, are they not?
Well, not necessarily. It depends on the fact situation. Normally, they may be. That all depends on what's in their contract and what the circumstances were. Did the board, was it a situation where originally they were, it was uncontested? Was there I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what the situation was, but there are some things like that where, and it could have just gotten missed. And if it's missed, then probably they would pay the cost of the property management company, pay the cost of remailing it. I would imagine is what they would do.
Now they could send out a proxy after the fact.
Yeah.
To try to cure that, not that error, so to speak, is not really necessarily an error, but to try to at least make sure that there's a quorum.
Well, they did do that with an email blast, but not everyone in the association has email listed for the property management company to send it to.
Were these general proxies? Or were these limited proxies? Are they voting on anything?
General proxies.
Okay.
I just never heard of an annual meeting that did not have a proxy. I mean,
you're right. I mean, 99 times out of 100, a proxy is included. Again, just so you're trying to make sure that you have a quorum.
So I'll have to just find out. Since the statute don't address it, it's not a requirement to have a proxy in an annual meeting. I'll have to find out if our docs require it.
Yeah, the statute just says that unless otherwise provided by the documents, owners can vote by person or by proxy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say a proxy must be included. It just says they have a right to vote that way.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just have to look in the docs. It's just it's unfortunate that I've just never ever seen an annual mailing that did not have a proxy in it. But it's unfortunate. That's just something that the board will have to deal with the management.
Yeah, I always give one to my clients when they're having a meeting, whether it's a general or a limited proxy. So it is. Yeah, you're right, John. It is pretty unusual for a proxy not to have been included.
Especially this year, because everything is going to be on Zoom. No one's going to be meeting in person. That would have really, if you ever do it, it would be this year. But another thing is, when they send out these mailings, it's on another note. I know a little bit about mailings, and they just put it in a flat envelope, which is, it's going to cost almost twice as much instead of if they just folded it over and put it in a letter size envelope. And it's these little things that management companies, I don't know why they miss these things, but if they can always save an association, little things that add up in the end. So when next year's budget comes around, you might have that flexibility, that little extra change in your budget. So that's just something out there. I don't know who's listening, but if property manager can just fold that paper in half, you can actually put it in a letter size envelope. That's the maximum width is 5 inches. But thanks for listening, guys. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
John,
Thanks, John. Yeah, that's, I mean, I guess, things like that happen from time to time. I think, it's unfortunate when it does happen, because it can, cause delays and everything else. But I agree. Most of the time on an HOA, you've got that proxy in there. So it's kind of one of those things where it's just it can really mess it up because timing wise, you got to go do it all over again. What let's say that you caught that, and like you said, Peter, that you go ahead and try to cure it by mailing it out, and you send that out. Um, in that situation, the notice for the meeting is required to be 14 days, right?
Right.
But the proxy's not.
Unless your documents have a longer time.
Right. But the proxy's not, right? So technically, can you?
Technically, you would still have proper notice.
Yeah.
Okay. You're just trying to address the problem that you potentially created with no proxy and therefore having a hard time getting a quorum.
Right. So what I'm getting at is, could you, let's say you caught that, 3 days, 4 days before the meeting, could you then just send out those proxies?
Yes.
Yeah. So as long as you got it out to them, because there's no requirement that they be out a certain number of days in advance, as long as you got them out prior to the meeting, probably with some reasonable period of time for them to fill it out and get it back in, you'd probably be okay then.
Well, I think again, it all depends. If you did it with enough time, like you said, for people to get it, figure out why they're getting it, and then get it back, at least you're trying to address this situation, address this problem.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
So, yeah, so that would be at least a alternative in that case, is to try to do something like that to cure it. But yeah, I have one association that is kind of interesting, is that they don't have this issue because I think they only have like 6 members or something, and the members are all other associations. So it's a property owners association, but it has it only the members are not the individual members of the individual associations that are part of the organization, but it's the actual entities themselves. And you're talking about not seeing this kind of situation happen very often, where they don't do proxies. That's the place I see it more often, is in some of these higher end communities, where they have these overall community associations that basically the only members are 3 or 4 associations and maybe the club within the community, and they actually then they actually control the vote. So they've always got representation, so you don't ever have to worry about it. It's not a traditional situation where you got 500 members or something like that. But I've seen a couple of those, and it's interesting because I've seen those things generated. It's interesting. I've seen them generated where they don't even really have any common property. They're just in there primarily to manage security or whatever the deal is. But it makes it very difficult when you've got that much control in a small group. But anyway, makes the election a lot easier. Everybody just elects themselves. But anyway, let's see what else. Going back, were you finished up on Terry's question, Peter? Did you get a chance to address that?
Yeah, I'm done. C4 was the answer.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I like that answer, but I kind of went gentle this year. I just was going to do the lean thing. That was a lot more relaxed.
Oh, this is the kinder, gentler Breckville?
Yes, that's exactly who I am. So,
okay.
Yeah, I didn't, because but it's sometimes it's amazing in that you shake your head some days and say, why in the heck does when somebody's offering to pay for everything, why the heck don't you just say thank you and move on. I mean, it's just, but I will tell you, I know.
I know. I just say Florida man and move on.
Yeah, no. I tell you though that I do know that this there are a few of these kind of houses out there, these duplexes out there that are like that, and we have them up here in Stewart and Martin County. And I don't know why anybody would buy into these things in many cases, because they've got a lot of them have a common attic, and so you've got a common attic, a common roof, and if you've got I mean, I would have thought that the reason that the person wasn't going to do it, I mean, what's the usual reason the person doesn't want to do it? They don't have the money, right? I mean, that's
Right.
usually the thing. Is the guy says, we got to fix the roof. It's going to be your half's $5,000 or $4,000, and the person says, no, I don't want to. Well, that's because they don't have $4,000. But this guy was, offered to pay for it, and at that point, you look at that and you say, gee, that's kind of crazy. But I will tell you, it makes you think. It's a good reason to look. This is a good lesson for everybody to look at when you're buying into a property. Look at those documents. The fact that they have a common roof is not a problem if their documents are set up correctly. I have a unit out in the Meadows out there in Lakemont, great townhouse, 2-story, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It's for sale, fairly cheap, 205. Give me a call. Anyway, so anyway, but it is really a nice unit. And the thing is, though, it has a quad. It's a quad building. And so when I bought the property back, about 4 years ago, I bought it knowing that I was going to be looking at a $6,000 or $7,000 special assessment for the roof, because the association maintains the roof, but they don't replace it. But they do determine when it's to be replaced. So I didn't have a choice about holding off. I can't say, well, my side of the roof is looking pretty good, I don't want to change it. And they put metal roof in. So, it was kind of an interesting situation, and that I wasn't worried at all. I mean, granted, it'd been nice if the roof would have been part of the reserves and had been replaced, but still, at least it was coordinated. We were given 3 or 4 or 5 years advance notice. So it was a pretty nice situation. But anyway, well, we're running out of time. Peter, I hope you have a good holiday and everything. And hope the kids don't do too much damage, and go Gators. And Miami is still hanging in there. Virginia's kind of, they're out of it, I think, right now. But you still got Miami, so hang in there. And for the rest of you, hopefully you'll have a good Thanksgiving and a good season. And we'll hope you join us again on Monday, 9 to 10 o'clock, right here on WSTU on Condo Solutions, where we can get you the answers for your condo and HOA problems. Thanks for joining us.
Where the statute and the